Colin Kaepernick, quarterback.
Touchdown, Nevada.
University of Nevada.
Not everyone knows about Colin Kaepernick, a guy that Rich Rod would have loved to have had. The only player in NCAA history to throw for at least 10,000 yards and rush for at least 4,000 yards. He's electric.
He's very productive, and it's time for maybe to talk about spread quarterbacks. There's such a knock against them coming in, but you look at last year's draft, 2 spread quarterbacks taken the first round, they're both starting. 3 of the first 4 taken in last year's draft, they're both doing well. I think Kaepernick, even though he's in a pistol spread type of offense in college, I think he can translate to being a great pro player because he has all the tools. To me, if you can play, you can play. And Kaepernick can play.
He's a guy that was drafted as a pitcher. He's got the arm.
Yeah, and that's one of the things he said. He said, hey, I was underneath center my entire life. Nevada was a switch up for me, so I'm used to taking snaps and having those mechanics. And I think a lot of times coaches put too much emphasis on mechanics. And when a guy can play, he can play. And Colin Kaepernick certainly was an interesting guy to watch. He's very mobile, particularly on the run. He does a good job being able to distribute the football and be able to extend plays with his feet. But he's got a better arm than Vince Young. A lot of people try and compare him to Vince Young, but he's somebody I think that maybe is an NFL franchise ready now, but in a couple years he could be somebody that you can see if you close your eyes and visualize somebody standing up on a podium winning a Super one day. He may have that ability.
And even a mobile guy who completed 65% of his passes, even though he's scrambling a lot.
That, to me, is the most important thing I want to know about him, besides maybe his arm strength, is his accuracy, because that's something you either can or you can't do. And Coach Rodriguez talked a little bit about the so-called spread knock. Sometimes we get caught up on catchphrases. Now, just look at Joe Flacco. He hadn't taken many snaps from center. In fact, at the Senior Bowl, he dropped the first 3. He got under center at that first practice session. Look at a guy like Sam Bradford. There's a spread quarterback. How'd he do last year? So I think we have to get over that, and a kid like this will help people get over it.
And Russ, what are some of the other knocks that he has to overcome? Maybe playing against WAC competition, maybe not seen as much by people. What about his showing at the Senior Bowl?
Well, the Senior Bowl, I think he impressed everybody with his talent. He showed that he's got a big league arm. He can make every throw with no problem. I think what concerned teams a little bit is his mechanics, not so much in terms of quickness of getting rid of the ball, but they were at all different angles. And therefore, throughout the practices, sometimes the ball was coming out accurately. Other times, when his arm would drop down to like 3/4, the ball would flutter and it didn't have the same accuracy. That's what coaches are concerned about. Can he become a consistent guy in terms of release point being same? Because if the release point's the same, then your accuracy's there. When the release point's all over the place, that's where your accuracy goes.
Well, and Randy mentioned it's a very good point. You have to be accurate. You can't play quarterback in the NFL or anywhere if you can't be accurate. But I think sometimes you can try to make a quarterback too mechanical. To me, you don't want to have your quarterbacks too mechanical. They have to be able to move in the pocket. What makes Peyton Manning so good as a player is in the pocket, he'll move a little bit. He'll throw off his back foot, his front foot, to the right, to the left. Kaepernick is an athletic enough guy that he can do that.
Accuracy is one of those things that a lot of scouts, when you talk to them, there's a direct translation. If a guy is accurate in college, he'll probably going to be accurate in the NFL. If he's not, he's probably not going to be. So with Colin Kaepernick, he's going to have to make that transition, not only with his accuracy, but being up underneath center to give him a chance to become the player he can be.
And how worried is everybody right now about Phillip Rivers and Ben Roethlisberger's release? Because when they were coming out in the draft, it was always, you know, they're kind of sidearm. I'm not really sure about this guy. It's worked out all right.
And he's got some height, too, over 6'4". I know Russ thinks he should maybe bulk up a little bit, right?
Yeah, I mean, he needs to add some weight. He's a little bit thin below the waist if he's going to handle the pounding in the NFL. But I think if you talk about a guy where the future is bright, I think he's going to be a great quarterback in the NFL. I think he has a chance to be very special.